The Neptune's lance was a marvel of engineering. It was a steel titan built to brave the crushing pressure of the ocean's depths. Inside its heart, the control room hummed with nervous energy.
Gripping the arms of her chair, her gaze fixed on the sonar screen. "Bring it up, slowly, Mr. Petrov."
Captain Elena Voss gripped the arms of her chair, her gaze fixed on the sonar screen. The ocean held its breath. The silence was almost unbearable. Then a blip, a shadow in the abyss. The crew stirred, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of the monitors. Whispers filled the room, hushed and urgent. Captain Voss leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. Her voice was calm, but a tremor of anticipation ran through her words. The winch began to groan, its gears protesting the immense weight. The murky depths of the ocean outside the porthole seemed to press against the thick glass, a monstrous claw reaching out from the darkness. The winch continued its laborious task, reeling in the unknown. The sonar blip grew larger, resolving itself into a rough, oblong shape.
Feeling a prickle of unease crawl down her spine. This was no ordinary rock.
It was a stone, immense and imposing, even through the distorted lens of the deep-sea camera. Then the vibrations began. A low thrumming that resonated through the hull of the Neptune's lance. The lights flickered. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Captain Voss, her face bathed in the pulsating glow of the monitors, felt a prickle of unease crawl down her spine. This was no ordinary rock. The fragment broke the surface, water cascading off its rough-hewn surface like a waterfall. It was hoisted onto the loading deck, a dripping monolith under the harsh glare of the floodlights. Strange glyphs, like nothing ever seen before, were etched into its surface. The glyphs pulsed with a faint, eerie light.
They had brought something up from the deep, something beyond their understanding.
The rhythmic thrumming intensified, vibrating through the deck and into the bones of the crew. A low, guttural hum resonated from the stone, like the whisper of some ancient being. Fear, cold and clammy, tightened its grip on the crew. They had brought something up from the deep, something beyond their understanding.
Breathing, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and scientific curiosity. What in Neptune's name is that thing?
Stammering, his gaze darting nervously between the fragment and Captain Voss. It's stone. But the energy readings are off the charts.
Dr. Singh, the expedition's geologist, breathed, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and scientific curiosity. He circled the fragment, his fingers itching to touch, yet hesitant. Lieutenant Lee, his gaze darting nervously between the fragment and Captain Voss, stammered,
Silencing the murmurs with a raised hand. Run a full spectral analysis. Temperature, density, the works. And someone get me a secure line to HQ.
A chorus of murmurs rippled through the crew. Skepticism warred with growing apprehension. Captain Voss, her face stoic, silenced them with a raised hand. Despite her commanding tone, a knot of unease twisted in her stomach. The results came back baffling. The stone was denser than anything found on Earth. It emitted a low hum, a steady pulse of energy that defied explanation. And it was warm to the touch despite being submerged in near-freezing water for an unknown amount of time.
The glyphs, upon closer inspection, seemed to shift and writhe like living things trapped beneath the surface.
Captain! Dr. Singh's voice was tight with apprehension. I don't think this is any kind of rock we've ever encountered. His words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. The crew, huddled around the monitors, exchanged uneasy glances. The fragment pulsed with an alien energy, its hum seeming to echo the growing fear in their hearts. The unsettling vibration from the fragment intensified, the rhythm syncing with the beating of Captain Voss's heart. A cold dread, like the icy grip of the ocean depths, settled over her. The lights flickered again, plunging the deck into momentary darkness. Whispers broke out amongst the crew, their voices laced with fear.
What's happening?
But there was no answer. Only the relentless thrumming of the fragment, growing stronger, more insistent. Captain Voss stared at the stone, her breath catching in her throat. It felt like it was watching them, judging them. The unsettling hum emanating from the fragment seemed to warp the air around it, creating shimmering distortions that danced like phantoms in the harsh glare of the floodlights. The glyphs, glowing with an eerie luminescence, appeared to writhe and shift, their movements mirroring the growing unease in the hearts of the crew.
The fragment was a puzzle box, its secrets locked away behind an ancient language she couldn't begin to decipher. But one thing was becoming horrifyingly clear. They had stumbled upon something far older, far more powerful than they could have ever imagined.
Captain Voss, her hand resting on the cold steel railing of the observation deck, felt a cold sweat prickle her skin. The ship groaned, a symphony of strained metal and protesting rivets. The rhythmic pulse of the fragment intensified, resonating through the very core of the Neptune's lance. It was as if the ship itself was reacting to the presence of this alien artifact.
Whispers, soft and frantic, spread among the crew like a contagion.
Some muttered prayers, their voices trembling.
Others clung to their comrades, seeking solace in shared fear.
Even the most seasoned veterans, hardened by years at sea, couldn't shake the feeling that they had awakened something ancient and malevolent. The crew huddled closer, their faces pale and drawn in the pulsating light emanating from the fragment. Captain Voss, her heart pounding against her ribs like a captive bird, felt a shiver crawl down her spine. It wasn't just the cold, it was the unshakable feeling of being watched, observed by something ancient and unknowable.
The fragment hummed, its glyphs pulsing with an alien life. It lay there on the deck of the Neptune's lance, a monolith of secrets dredged up from the abyss.
And in its cold, unblinking gaze, the crew saw a reflection of their own mortality. A chilling premonition that they had only just begun to grasp the true extent of the danger they had unearthed.